all the wild plant species, mesquite is the one from which one can gather the most nutrition. Similar to acorns in that they can provide, around half of a family's carbohydrate needs for the year. And there's many species of oak, but basically just one species of acorn of mesquite that is useful. This is honey mesquite, Prosopis glandulosa. And you want to gather them when they're mature and dried. A good way to tell is if you can hear a little bit of shaking of the seeds inside. But you can gather them a little bit before then. They're going to be slightly more bitter, as the more green they are, the more bitter they are, basically. But they also fall on the ground when they're fully mature. So you can pick them up off the ground, but it's best to get them just before they're about to fall. You can also feel it when you're pulling them off the tree, if they come off easily versus they want to stay on. They're not ready to go or not quite sweet enough. So in the field, you can just chew on them and just sort of spit out the fiber. But the part that you want is not the seeds, and it's not like this thin skin. It's the part that's in between. It's the mesocarp, but it's kind of a spongy tissue. And the way many American Indian groups would get at it would be to take a big mortar and a big pestle and just grind it up really good. And then you can do one of either two things. You can try to separate out the powder, removing the beans and the skin, or you can just take that whole mess, add water, and allow the water to sort of extract all of the carbohydrates and strain out all the pulp, and then drink it. It can be slightly fermented in that way. But if you pound it up and separate out the beans and the skin, you can use that ground meal and form it into cakes, and they'll preserve a really long time. So if you have mesquite in your area, pretty much all around the Southwest, it's the number one food plant, I would say, unless you have a whole lot of oak trees with good acorns in the area. Another benefit over acorns is that you don't need to process it. For most acorns, you need to grind it up into a powder and then leach out all the tannins, otherwise it'd be too bitter to eat. With mesquite, you don't have to do any of that. It's ready to go straight off the tree, and they're quite delicious. Individual trees can vary in the size of their beans and also in the taste. So some are more sweet and other ones are more bitter even when they're mature. So you can kind of sample the trees in your area if you have a lot and just go after the best ones. I gathered this whole bag full in maybe 15 minutes.